Welcome to the 42284 podcast, coming to you from the She Shed in beautiful downtown Sunfish, Kentucky, conveniently located north of Huff and south of South. Today in the studio with us, we've got Brandon and Kyle, and we have a local legend in the studio with us. He was probably the world's sexiest man before Ralph, and it's probably a toss-up year by year who it is, but Bill Duvall. Otherwise known as Uncle Bill, Wild Bill,
Sweet William.
It just depends on which lady it was. Yeah. So we've got him in here tonight with us. Bill, you were born and raised in Sunfish?
Within 10 miles of here.
Okay. Where were you born at?
Down towards around the hill, Huff down there.
Huff. Around, were you born at the, what's the name of the church? I can't think of it. Cub Creek?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, that you all had the Cub Creek store there.
Yeah, moved out of Cub Creek probably when I was 5 years old.
Which the store's gone now, but I know I remember it, and I'm sure.
Was that the Walter Miller store?
Walter Miller store,
okay.
yeah. Mm-hmm. And your mom and dad were J.T. and Benny Duvall. Yes. If anybody's been through Sunfish, right before the Catholic Church, there is a barn that says J.T. and Benny Duvall across the front in big white letters, and has my whole life. I mean, that's kind of a landmark here in Sunfish.
Yeah, the J.T. Benny barn.
Yep, everybody knows it. If you say I live in Sunfish, they'll say, well, we come past that barn, so it says J.T. and Benny Duvall on it.
I always tell people, if you come across one bridge, you cross the other and you went too far.
That's right. You live between the bridges, don't you? What year were you born?
38.
38.
Yes, sir.
How was Sunfish back in the early 40s when you were old enough to start remembering things? I mean, what was Sunfish like? Was it laid back? Was it farming? Was it?
It's basically farming. And mules. A lot of mules. Tractors were just coming in.
Yeah. We had Raymond Durbin on here, and he said he remembered when he was a kid. Of course, he's 10 or 12 years younger than you are, I guess. He remembered when his mom or his dad bought the first tractor. He said they'd farm with mules. When you all moved from Cub Creek, did you all move into this?
Up the road towards south there, where Jack owns now, that house there.
Okay, the Elmer Logsdon Farm's what we call it.
We lived there, and then we lived in the house above that.
The one Harold Stewart lived in? Okay.
And then we moved down here where Peggy's at by the bridge.
I remember Martha telling me that you all lived across from Ephraim Durbin.
Yeah.
That he lived in Lisa Hoobrey's house. He actually built Lisa's house.
Yeah.
And that you all lived across from him as a kid.
Yeah.
And playing with their kids.
Their kid, yeah.
Yeah. At some point, you went to Litchfield, didn't you? Was that later in life? Or?
That was after Dad had a Massey Ferguson dealership at Litchfield.
Okay.
And then he traded around on that and got in the Buick GMC business.
Okay, and but that was when you were up in teenage years, or
I joined the service in '56.
Okay, so it was prior to that or after that.
Yes, about. He had the tractor business then, because I know I had to rake hay.
Did he, when you all sold the Walter Miller farm or store down here, did he come up and run the store down here by the bridge after that?
Yeah, we owned the store there by the bridge.
And that's I was always told it's called the Duvall Mercantile Company.
Yeah, and Dad sold, they were starting to get electric through the country, one RCC, and Dad had a big 2-ton truck, and he got out and sold refrigerators and stuff. He'd find out they was going to have electric somewhere. He'd go ahead of time and tell them, now you can get you a refrigerator, you'll have one. He
was the salesman for that, for the appliances.
Yeah.
Huh, interesting. I didn't know that. We've got a picture. I sent it to you all the other day of that store building. You ought to post that on the Facebook page.
I will.
It's taken from across the creek there. It looks like maybe Otis and Marie's house. But you said you all lived there at some time where Otis and Marie lived?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And when I went in the service, that's where we lived.
Oh, I didn't know y'all lived there.
Yeah.
So
did you all build that store, the Duvall Mercantile, or was it there and you all just moved
Dad
up?
built onto it, I know.
Okay, but there was already a store there?
I don't know what.
Okay. I thought maybe that they built it
Yeah,
because
I never
I've
thought
heard
about
it
that,
the
yeah.
Duval store.
Yeah.
I thought maybe John Cap Durbin might have owned it.
Okay.
Or
Well, if he did, I'd
Been
never
there.
heard
I
that. But
don't
he
know.
lived right across the road.
Yeah,
That
I
may have
don't-
been a thing.
back then, I didn't care much what was going on unless it was something I was doing.
So you joined the Air Force
Yes, sir.
and go. Where do you go from when you join?
I went to Lackland Air Force Base for my training,
Where's that at?
Texas.
Okay.
Well, I went down there at if it's 100 degrees, we didn't have to march. That was a good thing. They sent me there. Then I went to Washington State, got up there, and I was up there about 6 months, and it was 32 below zero up there.
Shoo, wait.
No, big snow knee deep and wind blowing like heck. And then from there, they sent me to France.
What part of France were you in?
I was sent to southern France, and they closed that port down, place down. Then they sent me to 80 miles above Paris, and I spent basically my biggest part of my time there.
That's kind of towards Normandy in that
Up
area, I
that
think.
way.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time in the military.
Yeah. What did they teach you?
What not to do, yeah, or what not to get caught at.
He told me one time that they taught him that the military owned him.
Yeah, when you first join, I mean, well, you watch a war picture, you see people marching and them shooting them down. Nobody in their right mind would do that. They brainwash you. They brainwash you and break you down to where you do anything they say.
Right.
Yeah.
When you join the military, you're theirs 24 hours a day.
Can you tell the story about being the loan shark for the military?
Well, I had a little money when I went in, and the guys, as soon as they got a little money after we got our basic, they'd run in town, spend theirs. I saved mine. Well, I'd loan, if a guy wanted to borrow some money, I'd loan him, say, $20, and he'd sign an IOU for $20. If he didn't pay me 24 back, I never loaned him anymore. And when I was in France, I did that, and the commander called me into his office, and he said, Duvall, he said, you'll never get any promotions. They've got to get in for you for loaning money. I told him, I said, well, sir, I don't mean any disrespect to you, but I'm making more money than you are. Well, I was.
Well, I believe you.
I'd make so much I had to send it home. I'd send it home in cash, Mom, put it in the bank over here.
He's getting heavy marching around with all that cash in your pocket. Wouldn't it be?
Yeah. He told me that one time at church. I thought I was going to pass out.
I had enough time. I was with Dad 3 years. 3 years, I bought my own car and paid for it.
What was your role in the military? Were you
Base supply, and I was on the Airways and Air Communication building. We took care of all the things they needed for the upkeep of the control tower of the TACAN and all of that. It was all electronic stuff. And it was just, most of the time, it was just I and the sergeant there, so.
Yeah. So you spend 3 years over there, and then
Yes.
you come back. Do you come back to Sunfish, or do you come back to Louisville, or where?
Litchfield. Dad was in Litchfield when I got out.
Okay. And he was running the Buick dealer.
GMC business. And then I went to work for him and
Sales or mechanicing, or what? What did you do?
everything. Tax. I even collected debts.
Really?
It was good back then. If a guy owed you, you could get his license number of his vehicle, go up and attach it that day, and shut him down right there, and you get your money. Now you sue them, it's a heck
Yeah.
of a
Now
deal.
it's a mess.
Yeah, maybe you get it, maybe you
But
don't.
yeah,
Yeah. Now the Buick dealership was right across from the Catholic
Church,
to
yes,
the left
yeah.
of that old hotel or whatever
Yeah.
used to be there. And he ran that for years. And then did you and Lawrence take that over?
no,
or-
I bought him out.
You bought him out? Okay. I thought Lawrence was in the car business too somewhere.
No, I sold Lawrence the buildings.
Okay.
That's where he come in. After he got out of the military, why, he had a lot of money and wanted to spend it around, so I sold him all my building and my lot I had.
Okay. And you
Before Before your dad sold you the car business, I heard maybe a interesting story about you and Senate being out one night in one of your dad's cars.
Was it a new one?
Well, now, now we.
Now, hold on now, he says. Now, I just got one side of the story, so I want to hear your side. I want to hear your side.
I'll tell the rest of the story and the truth. Dad, I had a key made for Dad's business. So I went and got a car out of there. We'll send it and we got some girls.
Are you and Senate the same age or close to the same age?
Yeah, we're both.
Okay.
So I had Senate driving. I was in the back seat with the girl. The guys that we took their girls tried to run us off the road. Senate run off the edge of the road, come back and hit them, and they just went out through the field of rolling there. Senate just kept it going. We never did hear anything about that.
Well, Senate told me that Tilford got it on his mind that Bill had the car out. And so he was trying to find out if Bill had got his car out and wrecked it. And he said, Senate, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah, Tilford was a pretty serious man
pretty
when I remember.
serious.
Oh, he was hell.
Yeah, but he had no idea Senate was out with them,
Yeah.
So he said, do you know where Bill was last night? And Senate told him, said, I could lay my hand on his shoulder the whole night.
Well, where the car
So that got them both out of it for a while.
where the car got hit, we took it back and put it on that side of the road and slid it in where it looked somebody hit it and pushed it back to make him think somebody hit it.
Side swapped it.
Yeah.
The old hit and run on the car lot.
But Senate said years later he found out because did you have to pay your half or did you all pay to fix it or something?
We never admitted it.
Oh, okay.
No,
I thought I thought y'all had to pay a little bit. Maybe I'd heard.
No, we never admitted it. No, we never admitted it.
But people wonder why we act like we do. It's because of the way we were raised.
Well, my dad owned the place. Why shouldn't I have a key to it?
Right.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I mean, I come in handy a lot of times.
Have you ever seen my green truck? Don't think I don't believe in bumping people.
And then
Rubbin's Racing's what Kyle always
Rubbin's
said.
part of
you know,
racing.
Dad had a skating rink and a dance hall up at Litchfield.
Where was that at?
Out the old Glasscock building.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I was a young man still in school dating. That was a wonderful place to pick up girls.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say so.
And I had a key to that, so on Sunday we'd go up there and skate. And I had to fix the jukebox where I could run a wire in there and short it out.
Get every
Listen to
song
free
you want.
music, yeah. So,
Get every song you wanted.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
And then during the week, if I could, in the night or something, I said, you got to take gals there and go skating.
Skating was a big deal back then. We had a skating rink at Brownsville.
I
I'd
remember
say-
that skating rink.
I'd say
Yeah.
lots of little towns had skating
Yeah.
rinks back then.
Yeah,
That's a big thing
yeah,
back then.
Yeah,
Yeah, now.
yeah. I was a pretty good skater then.
Was
I
you?
should have been.
Could you do all them tricks like one leg and spin
Yeah,
around?
turn around.
Could
Yeah.
you really?
Yeah, I was skating backwards, and it's a doggone cigarette. But somebody threw down, I hit it,
It wiped you out.
knocked my elbow back here.
Two things I think that most of the little towns have lost, if they had it, are skating rings and bowling alleys.
Well, for the young people now, they've got no place to go for it.
They sit around and talk to each other on
That's
these
it.
phones.
It's all.
Phone.
Yeah, we've got I go in meetings with people, and they'll all be sitting around before the meeting, and everybody on their phone, not
Yeah.
talking to each other. I sit down.
Go to a restaurant sometime and just look around.
Yeah, we have a rule in our family: you don't get your phone out at the restaurant.
Leave it up.
Yeah, somebody calls, you can tell them you're gonna call them back or something like that. But they ain't
But
no.
there'll be a family there, 4 or 5 or 6 or however many.
All of them on their phone.
Everybody on the phone. Nobody
Yep.
even looking or talking to
yeah,
one another.
it's
I've got a phone, and I guess I call 30 minutes a year on it. I don't have it now. I don't carry it 99% of the time.
Yeah.
I'm on the motorcycle. I carry it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Try to.
Bill
You're just
agreed to this interview and had no idea what it was for.
I never seen or heard.
He did not know we had a podcast. Did you know what a podcast even was? Because I mean,
no.
Several years ago, I didn't know.
I just told him I'd tell the truth about anything he asked me. So be careful what he asks me.
Hey, you're better than 90% of the people we've had on, Bill.
I'm old enough; they can't do nothing to me for the things I've done. They can't do nothing about it.
He told me, he said, I'll do a soul cleansing if I need to.
Well, I've got a funny one on Bill. I hope he remembers this one. Do you remember when you had the 4-wheeler with the twist throttle and no return spring?
Yeah, I run up a tree.
And it run over you?
Yeah, and then I run up a tree.
Yeah, Kyle caught it, I think.
I was there. I was there.
Yeah.
So,
I took on running out.
Yeah, so Bill had a 4-wheeler, and he was showing us that he had put a twist throttle. And
Like a dirt bike.
Left the return spring off, so when he's checking cows, if his hand got cold, he could swap hands and put that hand in his pocket, which is a wonderful idea.
Oh, it is. Cruise control.
That's what I'm saying. Just like
you
cruise
get
control.
off of it to open a fence gap, and you're going to just hit the throttle and let it go through the gap, and it takes off, and you're trying to catch it, and you just roll it on wide open. And Bill caught this thing, and it about half throttle going across the field. I mean, it was impressive until the bike wheel caught his heel, and it run up one leg and over him and over his head. And when he got up, his boggin was still on, but his glasses were a little crooked.
And I seen him a few days later, and he showed me his back.
You could make out the tread of the 4-wheeler tire up his back. Wow. I remember that. Yes, sir.
He was a Carlisle billboard.
That didn't bother me, though.
No, we went ahead and rode the rest of the
we
day.
rode the rest of the day after that.
Well,
I remember coming down there and riding 4-wheelers with you, and I mean, Bill's fun to be around.
Oh,
Still
Lord,
is, but
sure,
I mean, as a 13, 14-year-old kid running around, he was a ball to be around.
When I had the car business up there, every Tuesday night, we rode motorcycles off-road the year round. Every Tuesday night. No matter if it was raining, snowing, whatever, we rode them.
Where'd y'all ride at?
We just rode everywhere we wanted
Wherever
to.
they wanted to.
We only had somebody come out with a gun twice.
Hey, that's a good record.
That
ain't too bad at
I mean,
all.
that's better than us, I
in
believe.
8 or 10 years. And one of the guys, man told us how to come, and the woman come out with a gun. The boys wanted to go back. I said, "You're crazy. They don't know who it was. Wait about 2 months. If you're going to go back, we'll go back and clear them out."
Yeah, give them time to
I
come
know
back.
they'd forget about it by then. But and Danny Gary, he was afraid of water. We was riding one night, and we had to go around a tree, and there's only about 12 inches to go around. You had to hold on to the tree to get around. And I told Danny, I said, "If you fall in, I'll come in to save you." I didn't tell him I couldn't swim that good. I'd have went in though. If I told him I'd done it, I'd have done it.
Did he make it?
Yeah, he made the
Thank
round.
goodness.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank goodness for both of you.
He was crazy. He was crazy riding.
I don't know if he's still riding or not, but I had some friends that rode with him within the last probably 12, 15 years, and he still was then, too.
But there's always that guy in the group, isn't there?
Well,
when you go riding.
He also had the funds to just destroy something and not care, right?
Yeah, he didn't care. I mean,
But I mean, I remember when we'd be all riding, and there would be somebody in the crowd, Josh or your cousin or something, just be sitting there
Or
eyeballing
Jeremy.
a bank and just say, "You know what? I believe I can climb that," and just give her about two, and then
Did you never ride with Jeremy? Because you didn't
not a
include him
lot,
in
just
that.
to be honest with you.
we didn't ride a whole lot.
He was the one in that group with us riding.
we went from motorcycles to cars,
Mm-hmm.
Volkswagens,
Really?
on Tuesday night. Yeah, we'd float them things and get them out and dry them out and get them running just to.
The guy he was talking about, is that the painting?
Yeah, across from Hardy's up there. He's the dad. Kent's owns it now.
Yeah.
That's who took us up there to the old house place.
Dinwiddie Farm?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they leased all that.
He was on a General, like a nearly new one, and he didn't care where he took it. We was back there, and there was a hill coming up out of a creek that was like a creek bed that was rocks. And he said, "Oh, yeah," he said, "I go up that in my Jeep." With my Jeep, I said, "What kind of Jeep you got?" And it was like a brand new Wrangler or
He
something.
wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was always, and he's good at it too. Right?
Was
He's
that
good
on
at it.
Louis' farm up there?
No, it's that old Dinwiddie Farm to the right. You know.
Yeah, we rode down there on the motorcycles.
Yeah,
even.
that old,
Yeah.
you know where I'm
Well,
talking about.
I know where Dinwiddie Stretch is, but I thought Louis'
Well-
farm was over
Well,
on the left.
It's a
Wasn't it?
road going on the right.
Yeah, Louis on
Okay.
the left. When you go down that stretch, there's a dip that you cross the creek, and there is a gate right there by that, and it goes back. There is a
Good ways.
yeah, about a mile and a half back in there. There is a legit mansion back there.
Really?
Yeah,
It's all
big
grown
old-
up.
Well,
around
last
it
time
now.
we retired all the line back to it after the 09 ice storm, and it all fell into the
Yeah.
basement. But it was built in the 1850s.
Really?
And I mean, legit, like one of those down on 31W, one of those big ones with the column. I mean, it's
I
amazing.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a buddy that was friends with them guys, and they rode up there,
Yeah,
right
that's where Elizabeth
smart.
Joe lived.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get married.
He Meredith, right?
Yeah.
When I come through that part, I just always think about us being up there. You remember that dog?
Oh,
it was up there that day
that's
when
a
we
good
looked at the
stretch.
cows.
That's a good
Yeah.
stretch. You could get 120 mile an hour on them old cars down through there.
Yeah, that's the stretch.
But now,
He's
when-
dog about eating us up
But
there.
now,
one
when
day.
Senate and I was driving, if you was doing less than 80, you was in our way. And we'd meet in town, and we'd agree we wasn't going to race. But we both wanted to be in front.
So it turned into a race no matter what.
Yeah, every time.
Now, you and Senator first cousins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, well, Senate had an old Ford or Chevrolet, and I had a Buick. Why? Them old Buicks, you could bounce off somebody with them bumpers and not do a dime's damage to them.
Just keep
They
going.
was solid.
Kyle, you needed a Buick all them
Can I
years.
still get one of them? Or?
So they was like a tank.
Well, I'm gonna tell my story on Bill, and I don't know if you remember this or not. But we all decided he had a campsite down there on the back of his farm. We called it the Bluff.
Bluff, get down to Bluff, yeah.
And we had camped the year before over on Leonard Duvall's farm. That was the weekend of the infamous log chain incident. Well, the next year we went down to Bill's, and it was me and Spike, and I think Brian was down there, and our cousin we won't mention, and one or two other kids about that age. And Bill was going to be the chaperone. And so he brought Fancy down there, and we got us a bonfire going, had her sleeping bags out, and Bill may or may not have been passed out before dark. And so he sit there.
Well, he probably worked hard.
He'd worked hard that day, but he sit there, and there was a lawn chair, and he was out. And so we took Fancy. And
Which was Bill's dog.
Which was Bill's dog, English Mastiff.
Can you describe Fancy before you go
Fancy
much
was
farther?
136 pounds.
Yeah, I was going to say 150 pound English Mastiff that was, 6'2", 6'3" on her hind legs.
She could put her feet here, and her head face was here.
Yeah, she was taller than I was as a kid. Probably still am. I didn't grow much after about 14. But anyhow, so we decided we were going to frog gig that creek. And so we crossed the creek and frog gig from that place there on your farm all the way down to the mouth of Sunfish on Bear Creek. Swam it and frog gig back. And we come back. We got back right before daylight, and we had sacks full of frogs. And so we sit out there. We're cutting them legs off those frogs, and we throw all the frogs over in the bushes. We pile up in our sleeping bags, and it wasn't 15 minutes. Bill was up. Where y'all been, So we slept a little bit, and we woke up, and those frogs had crawled back. They had front-wheel drive, and they had crawled back and had crawled all over the campsite. I mean, they were everywhere. But, yeah, Bill was a chaperone for us then.
Well, I had some 100 proof back then.
Yeah, it happens. So after you got out of the car business, what'd you do after that?
Farm.
Farm.
Come down at the farm working for Dad.
Yeah, and that's when you moved back down
Yes,
here?
sir, yeah.
Okay. I remember you moving back down.
That good Democrat, Jimmy Carter, put me out of business.
Yeah.
20% interest.
I've heard about them times. That's before we was all born, but I remember Dad talked about it.
My opinion, he was the worst president we ever had.
How old did Tilford and Benny live to be?
I think Dad is about
They were in their
90.
90s, both.
He was 97 or 98, and Mom was right at 100. Mom had two sisters that lived to be over 100.
Over 100?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if we ever celebrated Benny's 100th birthday or not.
No.
I was thinking we thought we were going to get
getting up there
to,
close to it, yeah.
and I think she passed away at 98 or
How
9.
old is Catherine?
Catherine's 96. Lawrence is 98.
And how old are you? You said you was born in 30.
I'm 96.
96?
86.
86.
I'm 10 years 10 years younger than Dad.
Where did you fall in the list of the kids? Are you the youngest?
I'm the youngest of 14.
The baby
The
boy.
baby boy.
So I should live longer than the rest of them.
Did they claim you to be spoiled, Bill?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. I sure didn't think I was.
No.
Until I got in the service. I got a rude awakening on that.
So you came back to farm, and you were married to Peggy at the time, right?
Yeah,
We should
yeah.
have mentioned you had 5 kids
With Carolyn.
With Carolyn,
Yeah.
and then Peggy was the
Peggy.
second. And Peggy, we were with Peggy a lot growing
Yeah.
up.
I never loved Peggy. She knowed it.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of fun together. We did a lot of stuff, had a lot of fun together.
Yeah. She was something. I mean,
She was.
yeah, we had a lot of fun with her growing up. Come down there and
We had a lot of fun.
yeah,
We had a lot of fun.
those were good times. We've talked about it.
Oh,
here.
yeah.
We had great childhood growing up
Oh,
around
we-
here. All just and the community's what made it.
Oh,
right?
I'd love to get to playing rook with them down there at Big Charlie's.
One-
Oh, it was serious.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, and you was talking about Bill being a daredevil a while ago. I'm sure he'll remember this. You was letting Dad put some grain down there in the grain bins
Yeah.
back when we road
Yeah,
crop.
yeah,
You know them
yeah,
grain bins
yeah,
down there by
yeah.
the house. And there was a truck down there, and it was best I can remember. It was, it wasn't like just wet raining, but the top of the ground was just a little bit slick. And Dad asked Bill, "What size was that Ford tractor you had, or you might still have it?
No.
What size was it? 50 horse tractor,
40.
40 horse tractor."
40.
He told Bill, he said, "If you don't care, just back up here and I'll hook a chain to it. You can just give him a little bit of a bump." So Bill, he backs up there and he's got his hay fork up. Dad said, "Bill, put that hay fork down." Said, "I don't want you to rear up." Bill said, "That's where she gets good traction." So Dad hooked that chain. Of course, all it needed was just a little bump. Then Bill popped that clutch and the front wheels come up about 4 foot off the ground. Of course, as a kid, it scared me to death.
Yeah.
Dad give enough to.
Oh yeah.
He said, "That's where she gets good traction."
I've done that many a
Oh
time.
yeah, he pulled her on out, which loaded truck,
That's right.
80,000 pound or 90 or
Yeah.
something back then, 40 horse
I
tractor.
was going to say, Gary White, an 80,000-pound truck, hard to
Well,
believe.
it made have. Sometimes that's all the cord you could get on there. It wasn't as heavy as other things.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, more
You
like
want me to tell
90,
them all about
95.
your mom?
Yeah. Let me. Did you all know that Bill saved Mom's life one time?
No.
Did you know this?
Yeah,
No.
This is
You're
a
talking Maxine.
my
your
mom
Yeah,
Maxine.
yeah.
This is a hero right here. I don't know if you all know this or not.
Do tell. We know he's a hero, but I didn't know
Maxine
for
called me and
this.
said, "Bill, there's a snake on my television." I said, "Well, I'll be right up." I went running in about a little, couldn't have been over 8 inches long. Well, I caught it and got rid of it. I didn't tell her that there's a little one. There had to be a lot more of them somewhere.
She had called me in the meantime, and I don't even remember where I was at the time, but I leave and I'm coming toward home, and Bill's just now leaving, and I'm getting there. And she said, and I walk up. Of course, on the phone, she tells me, "Come home quick, there's a snake."
And this is after your dad has passed away.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This is after Dad's passed away.
Yeah.
And when I'm thinking, like a black snake,
Like a
or
4.5 foot,
snake.
yeah.
And so I get up there, and I don't know if you remember what you done with her or not, but I said, "Where's the snake? Where's the snake?" And Bill had an RC can. He said, "It's in here." He put it down in the RC can. And I said, "That's the snake?" "Yeah, that's the snake. I done got it." Of course, Mom is deathly, and I mean deathly, afraid of snakes.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Like if there's a stick on the ground and she
That could
thinks
be
it's a-
one.
that could be one. Yeah. Deathly afraid of
Gene
them.
Davis was like that. Me and Billy Sanders were working over there, and there was something wrong with the automatic feed in the dairy barn there for a couple of weeks, and they would run 5-gallon buckets of feed out, and then they would sit an empty one on top of it to keep the flies out of it. Billy or I one come up with a rubber snake, put it in there on top of that feed, set that bucket back on there. It wasn't just a few minutes we heard her find that snake. We didn't go back in the milk barn for a little bit because she knew we had put it in there, and she was, it verbally hurt from 100 yards away.
Oh,
She
yeah.
was tearing us up.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Have you ever heard of a blue racer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the ones that'll follow you, they're
Yeah,
down there
Claimed they
where we're
would,
at.
yeah.
One of them got after Mom in that field over there across what I call the wet field. Like the field in front of the house. Dad had that other field sectioned off.
Yeah.
Where we used to feed hay back there
Yeah.
by the bottoms, but that other field. We was getting some cows up one day, and they was one got after her back there. And of course, I don't reckon they're harmless. They're just doing that as a
They say
protection
you
thing.
can put your finger in her mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She run all over that place. Of course, it's just wide open field. They wouldn't know where to go.
Yeah.
Everywhere she went, it was following her. Of course, I was laughing.
I've never seen one in person. I didn't
That's the
know.
only
I've
one.
seen
That's the
one.
only one I've ever seen or heard tell
I
of.
didn't
The
know
one
what-
I'd heard, that's so I walked back real slow from
Yeah.
it.
Oh, she took off like a cannon.
I didn't know we had them in this area, but down where I live at now in
Yeah.
Western Kentucky, they're down there a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And my father-in-law's told me, he said a couple summers ago he had one run out of the wood pile on him, and he said I'd turn around and here he'd come. He said when I'd look at him, he'd stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah.
said, "But that's
Yeah.
back
If you
the
just
way."
stop, I reckon
Yeah.
that's all it takes.
If you run, they're
But
following.
They're coming.
Yeah. And I said, well, when will they give up? He said, we're
don't.
going to find out.
I told Catherine there, I seen a big black snake down there at my garage. You kill it? I said, Lord, no, it's going to catch some mice. Well, there, I ain't about to kill it.
Have I told you about the black snake around my shop that terrorizes Jack? We first bought that place. There's a detached shop, and I sent him out to get a hammer drill. I had it in a case. I told him right where it was. He come back packing that. He said, "You're funny." I said, "What you talking about?" He said, "Lay that snake up there by that drill." He said, "I didn't had my hand on it when I saw it." I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." He said, "There's a dead snake laying in there." I said, "I can put a snake in there. I ain't gonna touch a snake." You know,
Are you leery of them?
I'm not scared of them. If you had one, try to put it on me, I'd probably pull my pistol out of my pocket and shoot you.
Well, yeah, but you'll put on
I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not just like, get it out of the house. If one run across the floor in here, I would be like, oh, there's a snake.
Catch
But
it.
yeah, let's get it out of here. So anyhow, let's go out there and look at it. I didn't know there was a dead snake out there. And so I go out there, and there is about a 4-foot-long black snake laid across this shelf right by where that was at. And I said, well, I don't know where that come from. And so I took a stick and poked it. Well, it run off. I said, that snake
That
wasn't
dead
dead.
snake comes alive.
So he put a motor in his truck down there a couple years ago, right after this, and it got up under that truck on him. He crawls under there, and that snake's laying under there with him. I don't know if it's the same one, but it's a big black snake. He comes out of there, mad, thinks I put it under there. I said, Jack, I'm telling you, I'm not going to touch a snake to scare you. If it was a rubber snake, I would, but not a real snake. About 2 weeks later, he goes and opens the door on his truck, and that thing falls around his head. It had crawled up. It was in the jam of that truck between the weather stripping and the outside, but when he opened it, it wrapped around his neck. I think he tore the yard all to heck trying to get away from it. But I told him, I said, that snake just likes you, Jack.
You ought to probably found me down there dead of a heart attack.
Oh, I'd have shot the
out there.
truck up. I guarantee you, I'd have shot the truck up.
But farmers used to like to catch a black snake, put it in their grain.
Well, I won't kill a black snake.
Corn crib.
I caught 2 one day, big old things.
Yeah.
As long as I'm in control, I'll catch them, kill them, but I ain't gonna. If they just come up on me, if I'm weed eating, that's the one thing that I'll kill them before I think I've done hit them with it.
Just
But if I
reaction.
see one, if I see one, I wouldn't intentionally.
I made the mistake one time of trying to kill one with a chainsaw.
Yeah,
That is a bad idea if you ever try to kill a snake with a chainsaw, because that chain will grab that snake and throw it back around your feet,
Yeah, right.
and then you can't get it off of your feet. I mean, you really got to kick and scream.
You better hit him by the head if you do it.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear Porky tell about when that snake wrapped up around the mirror bracket on his truck?
no.
There's a snake laying in the road, and Porky's driving one of them trucks, and he seen it coming. He hated them. And he said, I was going to run over that thing. He said, it's laying right on the yellow line. He said, I got that tar lined up. He said, about the time I was going to run over it, he said, that snake struck at that tire. And just like you said about that chainsaw, it grabbed it and just wrapped it around the mirror bracket. Of course, no air conditioners
Window
back
down.
then. Yeah, right there it was. He said, I was trying to get that mirror rolled, or that window rolled up. That snake was around that mirror bracket. Said, it's bad. He said, it was bad. Said, it's a striking and a carrying on. He said, I'd like to wreck it, trying to get that
I
window
probably
up.
would have. Backing up a little bit, where'd you go to school at? Did you go to school at St. John's?
Yeah.
Okay. Did they have a high school then?
Yeah. 9 people in the high school.
Who all was
2
in?
boys,
Who was in?
7 girls.
Who was in your class? Do you remember?
Norman Paul Durbin was we was only 2 boys in there. Then Betty Hayes was. Mary Elizabeth
Mary Elizabeth.
French.
I don't think I know.
Bush.
Mary Ples.
Bush.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I know them by their last name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Liz
Yeah.
Bush.
Betty Hayes was Betty
Yeah.
Duvall
Jennings,
Jennings that just
yeah.
passed away.
Yeah.
Well, I bet that's a wild crowd.
Oh, Oh, it was. Trouble was, they was all of them but one was kin to me.
That's right.
Of all the things, I mean, I had to ride the bus so I could get acquainted with the girls out here at this. And then when I went with them on Saturday night, I had to go, or Friday night, which it was, I had to go to church with them. We'd sat in the back of the church. Preacher one time saying the sinners in the back come forward. And others,
You was feeling it, huh?
oh, I was scritching up. I tell you.
You know who he's talking about, huh?
He was looking in my direction. I don't know why he thought I was a sinner.
Oh, man.
But you know when I was young down there, they just thought the Catholics was horrible. I mean, a lot of people didn't want their girls to go with Catholics.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Well, I can remember when I was in school that not everybody, but there were people that I went to high school with, and this is in the 90s, that did not realize that Catholics were Christians too.
Really?
Yeah, I was the brunt of a lot of jokes, and there was only myself and Billy Canny, Sherry Duvall, Amy Harden. I think that was only 4 kids that were in the high school. There were some younger ones, but all the older ones were already out, I think, unless I'm thinking wrong. But we kind of caught heck out of over because this is the only Catholic community in the whole county. Now you go to other counties, you go to other counties. There's Litchfield's got 4 or 5 Catholic churches,
right?
But Edmonson County, it was an uphill battle.
Well, was you treated differently than you're saying, or?
I was just the brunt of jokes. It was almost like being a
Catholic.
Yeah, it was almost like being a Democrat in a party of Republicans, or vice versa.
I mean, I've heard guys a lot younger than Bill talk about the dating thing back in the day of them being Catholic, and there were people in the county wouldn't let their girls go out with them.
Right.
Well, my first wife, me being Catholic was a huge problem with her family.
Well, I knew Ray, when Ray was on, he said that he was worried about that when he went over to the high school. But what he said, I never felt
never had any
like
altercations.
that. He said we've become great friends, and it wasn't like...
Yeah, I never had any altercations because of it.
But there was just a noticeable difference.
There was a noticeable difference, more picking than anything.
Okay.
But no, I had a lot. Outside of Brandon, most of my friends are not non-Catholic.
Sure.
I mean, you're not Catholic.
They had to be.
And maybe it's just because I've grown up in this community, but I've never looked at anybody any different. Like, I mean, I
was a friend, did you?
Yeah, well, I know you are. I don't think that's not the first thing that I think of. Of course, I don't think of they're this party or they're this religion or they're this. I just think, well, that's Bub, that's Donkey.
Yeah, that's me. I don't think that way. But I mean, when I was in school, there were.
We do.
People
we do accept you, even though you're a Democrat.
Well,
so.
I promised him I'd vote for him as long as I live.
I'd vote for him if I was down here. I guarantee it. I'd vote for him for president, even if he ran on a Democrat ticket.
I did start with, and always would.
Now, Bub, you better tell everybody I'm conservative before you get me run out here now.
I told Lindsay
we're just going to leave it at Democrat.
I'm a very conservative-minded person.
You're an old-time Democrat.
That's me. I voted for a lot of Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
I told Lindsay when we first started dating, I was a Democrat at the time, and was for a year or two after we were married. Well, no, I may have changed right before we got married.
I'd forgot he was at one time.
But
Kyle, I've got a little more respect for you. He's a fence jumper over here.
Yeah. I told Lindsay, I said, I'm a conservative Democrat. She said, that's an oxymoron. She said, there's no such thing.
Yeah.
Did you say, what'd you call me?
Yeah, I had to Google it. What that meant.
I've been called a moron, but what's that first part?
Her parents are Democrat, and she's strong Republican.
Yeah.
Well, I look at that like I do the Catholics or the other. They're all trying to get the same place. The Democrats and Republicans all got a different view, but it'd be heck if you just had one party.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's the trouble right now. The Democrats won't vote for anything the Republicans does. Republicans won't vote for anything the Democrats. and that's bad.
They spend more time fighting than they do solving problems.
That's-
I think. But-
Yeah.
Well, in our local elections too, we know our people.
Well,
You know,
that's the
You
thing.
vote
we
for
know-
person.
we-
You vote
you
for
vote for
person, not party. I've said that a lot.
on local
That's
elections,
what
definitely.
Dad said. He always voted for
And
the
I've
person.
always said that my party doesn't hinder me from voting for anybody.
Well-
I'm not a straight ticket person. I've voted for more Republicans. You know, in our county, that
Yeah.
we're, 80% Republican or something like that. So most of the time, your choice, that's what your best choice
Well,
is.
I think you've told me that there's been people called down there to talk to you about things, and they're actually surprised that you're
A Democrat.
Yeah.
Well, when I was down here voting, I never once cared what party they were, because small town, small county, you know everybody, you know them. I mean, a lot of people may be registered one way because that's the way their family was.
Well,
They
that's
just-
what most of us,
It
I
is.
think, probably done.
It
When
is.
I was 18 years old,
That's what I did.
That's what I
that's
did.
just what the whites were. You know, Grandpa Jess was, Papa Kurt was, Dad was.
The Durbans. down
But
here
I'll
at the
say
time
this:
were
at that
Democrats.
time, it probably wasn't as much of a difference on some social issues and things like that too.
Right.
It wasn't
Yeah.
as big a gap probably.
Right.
But I've always said vote for the person. You know, check your candidates out. And people ask me, why don't you change? Why don't you change? And I almost feel like that'd be hypocritical of me now because I've always said, don't let that hinder you.
Yeah.
Don't let that party hinder you. So if you feel like this person is the better person and they're a different party, vote for them. Go
Right.
get it. We do a thing over at the high school, Kevin and I do, Kevin Alexander that was on here, our county clerk, where we register people to vote. And those two words don't even hardly come out of our mouth, Democrat or Republican.
Yeah.
We're just encouraging people to vote. We're encouraging them to try to find out about candidates. We're encouraging them to try to just go vote. On a lot of our county elections, we have less than a 50% voter turnout,
Yeah.
which is sad to me.
It is.
I mean,
It
guys
is.
like Bill went and fought and served, and some in our county has died.
Yeah.
So we can do that. And
to
we
protect
watch,
our rights.
Yeah, and we watch video all the time of countries that's, people are just dying to have that right.
Oh, yeah.
In 2024, there's people in our world that don't have that.
Yeah, they have to take what they get.
Yeah, and we can.
Yeah.
I'm just busy that day or whatever.
Oh, well, I want
So-
you to tell while we're talking about this, Kyle, and I don't know if you remember this or not, and I don't know who it was. You don't have to name the name, but tell about the response you gave to the guy that said you did not ask him to vote for you. Do you remember that? I don't remember who it was.
I don't particularly remember that. I've had so many responses over the years.
Well, I'm going to tell you what you told me. So and so said, "Well, you didn't ask me to vote for you."
Did I ask-
And you said, "Well, if I thought I had to ask people like you to vote, I wouldn't even have ran. I just figured we were tight enough to."
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I remember that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that now.
And I always, I've told people that before, and I'm like, that's one of the best responses to that I've ever heard.
That is a good response.
I don't care to talk about it,
Yeah.
because people have supported me. And I'm proud of my job. I'm proud for people like Bill who have told me, I don't care what you're registered, I support you. I
Well,
don't
I think-
support a party. I don't
I just
support
the man.
registration. I support the man. And so if I didn't have those people, if I didn't have the Bill Duvalls or the Brandon Hayeses or the people like that, you can't win.
Well, I think you've done a
can't
good
win.
job with that.
Well, I
With
appreciate
them.
it.
I mean,
You'd
I
have
think,
to have him.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, I say that as a prideful thing. I wear that as a badge of honor when I'm going across the state, because my job takes me across the state. They're like, you're from Hamilton County and you're registered.
All right, we got way off on politics here. We
yeah,
don't
we've
normally
tried to,
do that.
yeah, we've tried to stay away from politics. So it's
Oh, I
kind
know
of,
what I.
yeah, it's kind of new territory.
That's all
for
right.
us.
I mean, normally the only political stuff we get is picking on Kyle about
Kyle
politics.
knows I
So
don't care.
Hey, speaking of picking on Kyle, we do need to touch on. We did get a picture of the croc this week.
yes, I put it on Facebook.
Yeah, that Kyle put Kayla in, and I'm gonna take up from my buddy.
Did she
made
build it up a little bit?
She made it sound like it was a prison, and he put the lid on and
Very
kicked her off
unsafe.
over the hill.
She made it sound
Unsafe,
unsafe. It looked very safe to me.
Yeah.
What'd you call it in the text message we had?
Well, when my kids were little, they had bumpos. Do you remember those little
Oh, yeah, you
styrofoamy
just
things you just
set 'em in.
set them in?
So they weren't available when
That
Kayla
wasn't a
was
thing in
so-
1995.
So you
Yeah.
were very.
I done the very best I could, and not in that picture, but a lot of times I would lay a little baby blanket around
Oh,
it
yeah.
to soften the
yeah.
rim.
Yeah.
Now I didn't. It wasn't in that picture.
Well, and croc is heavy enough. It's not like a 5-gallon bucket
It's not
that
going
would
to
turn over.
No, it's not going to turn over. It was right about armpit level.
I mean,
She
I
could lay
think-
her arms over that and stand up.
I think he's been a good brother.
Most of the
I
time,
think
I'd
so.
put her in front of the TV, like there. I had her
Yeah.
looking out the window.
Well, and then there was another picture of her listening to Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
How old's
Yeah.
your sister?
She's 30. Well, almost 30. What is today?
13th. Today's
She's
Friday.
30. She was 30 a day before yesterday.
My
Oh
Lord.
my gosh.
Yeah, she's old. She's
It's
got
going
old.
downhill
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, she's ancient, Bill.
Last time I know she's 13.
Yeah. Yep. It went by
All
fast.
them years ago.
Just like that.
No wonder I got so old so quick.
I'm 44. I don't know how I got there.
Goes faster every year.
But
I
I mean,
believe.
she's 13 or 30. I mean,
be
for the
darned.
Hispanic community, that's got some age to it, doesn't it?
Yeah. So she's gonna start wrinkling up here for long.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just looking for. I'm just looking forward to it. I'm looking
You're going to look younger than her.
Oh yeah.
I'd say we'll be getting some text messages after this comes out. She'll be wanting to come back.
Maybe we should have them both on together.
Yeah, that's what we're going to have to do.
But you're more than welcome to post all them pictures that you want to, because it just shows how loving a brother.
oh, yeah,
that
letting her
I-
use your headphones.
that I was and am. You know, just take time out of my day just to kind of watch her. Mom was busy and Dad usually was working or something.
You all
so
probably always,
it
have
fell to
always
me.
encouraged her, too.
Oh, just treated her like a little sister.
Yeah. Seems like
Yeah,
it.
treated her, yeah. Oh, she's been around long enough. She feels like part of the family now. Yeah, as Donkey said, I had a Walkman back in the day, which I'm sure a lot of kids don't even know what that is.
It's the
that
old
is
version
a battery-operated cassette player with headphones that was mobile.
Well, a cassette is a plastic device that has tape in it.
The temperature change when it runs out.
Yeah,
Turn in,
you have to
turn
flip it
up.
over, or if
Yeah.
you had one that was fancy, they had the auto flip. I don't know if Walkman's
Yeah,
ever
they
had the auto
made.
flip.
No, Walkman didn't do the automatic.
You'd have to flip it out. You'd take it out and flip it,
it was
over.
after records and before CDs.
And I think it took 4 double A's,
think
and you
you're
could
right on
listen,
that.
I'd say, way up around 30 minutes on a set of batteries.
Yeah, and you put some good Duracells in there. You mean you might
Oh,
get
you might get
45,
you might get 45 minutes out
Yeah,
of it.
if you quit using them Dollar General, you're doing good.
I took one to Colorado one time with us when I rode in the back of the truck all the way to Colorado, and I can't remember how many batteries I went through on the way out there. Got out there and I didn't have enough to listen to it on the
Oh, the way back.
Yeah. Mom wouldn't buy me anymore. Dad said they ain't buying them; they're too expensive.
Well, it's probably higher there than they was here.
I guarantee you I was letting her listen to Vanilla Ice in that video. I guarantee you I was. And I was all decked out in my UK gear.
gear.
Did you
Every
notice my
picture,
socks?
Every picture you had UK
That's
gear,
all I
except for the Long Acres shirt.
Hey, me and Bill was UK fans, wasn't we?
Yes, sir.
Still are.
What do you
Yes,
think
sir.
about the new coach, Bill?
I believe it'll be all right. Sam.
I'm excited about Kentucky ball. First time I have been several years. I was trying to talk Kyle into going to a game, the Louisville game tomorrow, but he's got Christmas. They're playing Louisville tomorrow up at Rupp. So,
Yeah.
boy, tickets are high for that thing. Nosebleed tickets, $250.
The year that Kentucky come back in 98, when they was down so much to Duke, me and Bill watched that together at Big Charlie's.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
When Scott Padgett hit the 3 from the top of the
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't think it was the final game. It might have been the final 4. It was one or the other. His final game. I believe it was final 4 of the game, though.
Yeah, I think I bet on both ways and lost. When they got behind so much, I switched, bet the other way, and give him 10 points and lost. They come back and lost.
I used to go down to Steve Durbin's and watch it with him and Ben Muncie.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You talk about a
Old
treat.
Ben, yeah.
Hey, Ben, he'd get into
Well,
it.
maybe we just invite ourselves to Uncle Steve's.
Well,
down there.
could do it. Could do it.
No, I'd be up Catherine's.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll go
that's-
watch it with Catherine.
But my house, every place I sit, within reach, is a gun.
Yeah.
Where I sit the most is a 44 Magnum. And
If you don't
the
hit him, you're going to scare him to death.
No, if he comes in the front door, he ain't gonna walk out or stagger out. I'm gonna blow him out. He's gonna be outside because I'm gonna blow him out.
So I guess you're saying a man need to knock or hit the bell or
I'd beat the horn when I pull up.
If y'all go down there and watch a ball game, y'all be careful.
Donkey, you remember if we show make sure you call Bill before we get in there.
Let's beat the horn. Oh, me.
That Junior and Kim, they're the darndest things for some reason, and I don't know why. They bring me a supper every night except Saturday night.
Well, that's good.
Sounds like a
I
good
mean,
neighbor to me.
Yeah.
Junior, I could not have a kid that would do any more for me than Junior does.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I had him to fill my humidifier up because since I've shattered this elbow,
Just the weight of it, the water.
well, the elbow, I pushing Catherine, it hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
Where they drill this in here, it's come out just a little.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Junior was fun to grow up with around here.
Oh yeah.
Boy,
He's always been fun.
I tell you, I thought I'd heard a 10 before, but when I fell and fractured my back, my elbow, I knowed what a 10 was then.
Phew.
I hit my head too. Hard head, don't worry about that.
Thank goodness it would really hurt you if you fell somewhere.
I laid there for 15 minutes and I screamed and hollered.
Was you there at the house?
Yeah. I was being foolish. I was carrying 2 gallons of milk on this arm, 2 double boxes of cereal, and carrying a drink. Now it was a lemonade. And I went across my body to set it down on the, and when I did, the milk throwed me right out on the concrete.
Yeah, got you off balance, didn't it?
But hey, I did put the milk in the refrigerator. I don't know how I got it in there, but I got it in the refrigerator. I laid down on the bed. I could not get up. I couldn't move. My telephone didn't. It's like my guns. It's in reach.
Yeah.
I was able to get that and call the ambulance. And talk about the military. They paid for my hospital bill.
The VA
And the
did.
doctors. That's right.
Yeah. Good.
Well, they are too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
they are too.
Yeah, I mean they are too.
Well, they're. When I went in, they promised you free military as long as you lived.
Yeah. Do they still do that?
Yeah.
Healthcare.
I don't think they do. Now, like, I think Steve down here, he has to pay $15 for a prescription.
Oh, it's some co-pays or something?
Yeah. Copay. Now, me, that's a month. Now, mine, if it's service connected, I got 20% service connected because I fractured my back when I was in the service. Why? It don't cost me anything, but otherwise it costs $8 for a.
How'd you fracture your back when you were in the service?
I was home on vacation. I was riding a moped with a half gallon of milk in this hand.
What is it with you?
It's
and
the
Ricky
milk.
and
You and
It's the
milk.
milk.
You're gonna have to quit getting milk.
And right in front of the store there was a hole in the road that deep.
You mean the mercantile, Duvall Mercantile
Yeah.
down here? Okay.
And I was getting the milk from Mother down there where Peggy's at. It bent the wheel back that much on it. Throwed me over on the fence and the honeysuckles there, and fractured my back right up here close to my neck. And I got up and I was still going on a date. And I started getting numb in my legs. So,
He said, I'm gonna need them legs.
so I had Dad to take me over to Doc Farmer, and Doc Farmer looked at me and says, JT, take that man to Fort Knox. So they took me to Fort Knox, and first thing I got there, I said, I'm on vacation. Notify the Air Force. Well, after 2.5 months, they let me come home on leave with a cast where I couldn't sit down and around my head. And I soaked it off to where I could sit down good. And the MPs come down to lock me up.
They think you was AWOL?
Yeah, they never had reported me up to the Air Force. So, Teresa was there then. She's married to an Army guy. And, Mom, I told him, I said, I'm coming. I said, we're coming with guns. I'm not going back. And I wasn't going back. Because I know that's all right. And my sister found the correct papers where I had to leave from there.
Yeah.
Then they notified me, boy, they got me out of there. And God, it was the Army and the Air Force, and even the hospital was different. In the Army, they brought you what they wanted you to have. In the Air Force, they come in and took your order.
Huh.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of videos online of how the Army acts and how the Navy acts
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's like a little rivalry
When I was
between.
in France there, why, we had 24-hour people on work there, so we could get up and go in when we wanted to the mess hall and tell them exactly what you wanted or do it yourself.
That's good. That's good.
So once you got out of the military and went through the car dealership and came back down here to farm. You farmed for what, 20 years down here, maybe a little longer?
Yeah.
And then you retired out of farming. And now you just kind of kick back and enjoy it.
I was fooling around with Senate again. I sat with Senate over in the sale barn. Junior come in, talking. Junior said, "What do you take for your farm?" And I just quoted a figure and he took his hand out. I wasn't planning on selling my farm at all. I couldn't back out after he...
After you shook on it.
No, after he put his hand out, I couldn't back out.
You still got the barn and the grain bins, though.
I sold that too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, after Jeff died, why, I kept that so Jeff, when he would get the house, would have some land.
Yeah. Did Senate buy the barn from you, or Junior? Or
Junior,
something?
yeah.
That whole farm, not just what you had. That whole farm was a great farm.
But
Your dad had put together a great farm.
Yes.
I used to own that?
No,
I owned that whole farm.
I didn't know that.
I traded Dad my house in Litchfield to it.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
know
I come
that.
there and farmed for a year or so, and it was just too much to own the business and try to keep it going.
Do it
and
both.
This too, and Dad thought he was ready to retire. And he was talking about maybe buying an old house there in Litchfield, tearing it down for the lumber and all that. He decided he wasn't ready to quit, so...
Somebody told me, Bill, when you had come back in here and went to farming, that you bought a hay roller out in a different state. Did you buy a John Deere roller out in...
Yeah.
Where was it? Was it in St. Louis area or
Yeah,
somewhere
yeah,
over in
yeah.
there? And so here's the story I told. You can tell me if it's true or not. Said you went out, drove your truck out, hooked to that roller,
Yeah.
and drove it back. And somebody said, "Well, I'd hate to pull a hay roller home 35 mile there." You said they'll run just as good.
It's 75, yeah.
And Bill told us they'll trail just as good at 75
Well,
as they will 35.
We Kurt and I, we pulled it probably 30 miles, run it past, got out, we felt the tires, felt the bearings, everything was cool.
It just brought her own house onto the house.
We just put her down the road. Past cops and all, just going right on.
Well,
Now, speaking of Curtis, hey, old Kurt was a pistol. wasn't he?
Oh,
Now,
man.
Kurt and I farmed together for all those years. We never had one disagreement. We seen some cattle on a paper that had ears like these big sheep, So
Yeah.
we went and bought some of them, and they was just more trouble than it's worth. Looked up one day, and the old ram had done cut his horn off because his button, and his button sit Curtis's cow down at the pond. Wouldn't let her get in the pond. I got my 223 out and I popped him one. Kurt come to the house. I said, "Kurt, what do you want for your half of that ram?" He said, "I seen it. I'm glad you shot him." I said, "I'm afraid he's going to abort my old cow."
He is a pistol now. He
Kurt
is
would
fu-
come in when I was a kid. Where did he live at? He lived off from here somewhere.
Down in Hialeah, Florida.
Okay, he would just show up.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I remember. Just show
yeah,
up.
of course, but we talked about this in the prior episode. People just seemed like they just showed up at your house, and knocked on your door, but he'd show up down there at John A. and Martha's house. And
Oh, yeah.
it didn't matter where you were in that house, you could hear Kurt. He
Oh,
was,
yeah.
He was
Yeah,
hard of
yeah,
hearing, and he
yeah,
was
yeah.
loud.
Yeah,
But
I,
he was
Well, he
a lot
worked
of
for the
fun.
railroad for years.
But I don't remember Kurt's wife. Was she? Did
She's
she?
never seen her around here.
Okay.
Berta, you didn't miss nothing.
there was somebody told me a story about Kurt that I didn't know. Did Kurt work for some family that was big into something?
DuPont's.
DuPont's.
Yeah,
Did y'all know that?
Like the plastic people?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
DuPont family. They were in Louisville, weren't they?
He down there he run a bank, and then he had a couple of houses there. One he lived in, the other he rented to the airline stewardess till he got married. And I mean, Kurt took care of his property, and Kurt would go in the bank and he'd take them Cuban gals was in there, some roses. Oh, I went in there with him. Oh, I'm gonna marry you. I'm gonna marry Kurt. Everybody just loved Kurt. I mean, everybody
That's
knowed
a wonder
him.
you didn't move down there.
And
What was the story? So somebody was telling me that was he doing like lawn care or something and got to doing it for the DuPonts and they like hired him to do basically everything around
they
their
had
house.
to do down there.
He went from this lawn care business
Yeah.
to just working for them full time.
Really?
Like
No,
if they
he-
needed a refrigerator, he was the man that bought the refrigerator and brought it in. If they needed this,
Oh, and DuPont, he took me and showed him his gun collection. He had old rifles. He had anything that you could think of. If you went to a museum, you wouldn't see anything more than you'd see in his place.
Ain't that amazing? I didn't know that.
I didn't have a clue.
And he sold shotguns, and he sold them. I think it was $6,000. And he went, or had his gunsmith did one to where you was at, and would cut them and measure them to your shoulder.
Your length of pull would be custom.
Yeah.
Custom fit.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know that about Kurt.
But
I never heard that.
But yeah, Kurt, he did these different lawns for people. Went over that one person, and I always, when I went down there to go fishing, I'd wear me a pair of old overalls or something, and I'd Mom put a patch on it with a gingerbread man on it, and I'd always put patches on me, even though it was new. And Kurt told the woman, said, he just got out of the pen, and I'm trying to help him rehabilitate.
Trying to get him back on his feet.
She said, "Oh, Curtis, that's so nice of you." He said, "No, that's my brother." But I mean, Kurt would go in their house. They'd pick sandwiches, leave them for him, and we'd go down there to go fishing. I'd take people with me. I'd go in there and I'd say, "Berta, hey, we going to play bingo tonight?" And, oh, she'd light up. Go down there. She'd play two of them big old cards, and I'd play one, and she'd tell me when I missed one.
She's watching yours too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. I mean, but
Some people get into that bingo.
she was again. We went to high line dog races, and
I've been to dog races in Florida before.
I went dog racing with Jimmy Elder. Went down, took him down there, a friend, and we went up and looked at the dogs that was going to race. We picked this dog out. We just know he was going to win. We bet on him. He won. The only thing was he run in the next race. Yeah. We always betting on him. Yeah. He was the one we bet on won, but his love.
Well, before we go, we're getting here close to the time. You got to get out and
Okay.
get to your.
Well, let me
Other
say this for you.
engagement. Okay, go
before
ahead.
you wind him up, it does not surprise me about Curtis doing that, because I don't know all of your siblings, but the ones I know, they are outstanding, jolly,
Oh yeah.
people pleasing, fun to be around. Like you all have always been in sales, customer service. Martha was always
Yeah, she's
one of the
base of
best
the post
people.
office,
Like
yep.
when I run into Bill or Martha or Curtis or whatever, 10 or 20 or 30 minutes or an hour it was, you walk away from there, you feel better.
My wife looks forward to seeing Bill.
Of course. And so Curtis would be no different. And that's why people like that have success.
Yeah.
Is because when they're around people, people feel better after they talk to them.
I like people.
Yes. It's just as easy to be happy.
Yeah.
I see
Well,
people
you
all the
are
time
too.
walking around
You
with a
are
big.
too.
With
You're a purple.
Yeah, Kyle's got it.
But don't you see people walking around with a frown all the time?
Yeah.
It's just as easy to be happy.
But where Martha's got her house down there, why, the church sold that land. I bought it. Well, I went up to the store and I told Martha I just bought. Oh, I'd like to have that. And I says, I never sell anything that I don't make a profit on.
That's the old Friendship Hall, right? As a dance hall.
Yeah. They moved it off just the land.
It was his great grandfather's cabinet shop.
Cabinet
before.
shop, yeah.
Thomas Durbin.
Is he your kin, folks?
Yeah, he was Mama's dad.
Well, I think better of you now. He stayed with us a while. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
And I really liked him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a little shop up there at South, going to South, and he across from where Carol Durbin and them lived, and he worked in it.
Okay.
I had a little shop there.
So you were talking there about the Friendship Hall. Did you make any money off Martha?
I had to have a Coke. then Dad and I went and signed her note to pay for it.
Yeah. Well, I guess she was a single mother at that point.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah. And I sold her. I sold the little red car I had to Dr. Smith, eye doctor in Litchfield. Well, she had to get her money from the credit union. I drove it down here because I couldn't sell it. Martha, oh, I want that car. I want that car. Well, hell, I sold it to Martha. Made them mad at me. I did wrong, but I could not let Martha have it. Tell me.
Yeah.
Lou wound up wrecking it.
Lou did?
Yeah.
That dang Lou.
Yeah. I bet she won't tell you anything you want to know. Especially Glenn.
Well, before we let you go, tell us do you have a good John A. story you'd like to tell?
Well, the one thing I remember about John A. is riding with it that stuck with me. I know a lot of them.
Yeah, I
The one
figured you
that
did.
reminded me, I was riding with in that old truck going down up there south. They're going down that old lane down there. He turned in, he just went over the ditch and went just so slow. He said, I never get in a hurry doing anything anymore.
I remember we were kids, he'd run 30 mile an hour down the road.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
But we took cows one time over to Glasgow and was coming back in that white dually. And he said, oh. And I looked over and the speedometer was buried. I don't know what he was thinking about, but he had that thing cooking.
In the
that
wind.
was it.
About
Yeah.
85 mile an hour.
I followed him in before years earlier, and I think you and you and Steve in the back,
Maybe, I don't.
no, or John A's boy that was fighting. They was fighting with Steve in the back of the truck going down the road.
Yeah.
I could have passed John A's going so, but I was watching them.
It's a good show, wasn't it?
Well, Bill, it's been a pleasure growing up with you around here.
Yes,
It
it
sure
has.
has.
Yeah, we appreciate the service in the military and treating
Thank
us
you.
all good as kids and being fun. And
Since I've got this hat, I've got more thinking for my military than I ever did when I was in the military.
well,
People appreciate it
I
now,
think
they
people are
do.
more conscious of it.
Yes,
now, and,
yes.
and we should be.
Yes, I agree.
And me, I personally, I think everybody ought to have to spend at least 2 years in the military.
it wouldn't hurt any of us. I had other things on the brain at
Me
that
too.
time.
Me too.
So
Would have been good, though.
yeah.
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 Well, we sure appreciate you coming up.
Well, I've enjoyed it.